Sparklehorse were an indie rock band from Richmond, Virginia in the USA. They were formed in 1995 and they were active until their lead guy, Mark Linkus, died in 2010. They released 6 studio albums during that time. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the first album by Sparklehorse, and it may or may not be my first time listening to it. A vague feeling that I might have listened to it before, but it might be a while ago. I do know one track on here fairly well, which is Hammering the Cramps. So I think I know this because I have it on a compilation CD, which will have come on the front of a magazine. This was the mid-90s. This was kind of peak time for buying magazines and getting compilation CDs on the front. And I did loads of that at the time. So occasionally I find a song and go, oh, yes, okay, right, that was somewhere on one of those CDs. But I couldn't tell you exactly which one. So I'm going to say I like the band name. Sparklehorse is a great name for a band. The album name is great. I'm not sure if I could actually read it out. Vivadixiesubmarinetransmissionplot. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But they've done it all as one word. Um, they also, I'd say the album cover is really nice. It's interesting. It catches the eye. There are some tracks on this album which are short interlude tracks, most of them less than a minute long. And they're interesting and often quite bizarre. And then we've got the rest of the music. And I'm afraid I found them quite dull, musically dull, particularly. So somebody somewhere at some point in the 90s decided that it was okay to have a backing band playing chord sequences without anything interesting going on top of that. And it's true, it can, it can be done and it can be pulled off in a way that I like. Sometimes I kind of find myself thinking, all we've got is a chord sequence. We've got nothing really interesting going on here. And so they were, they've been part of this thing, obviously, of doing chord sequences without any kind of soloing going on. There's bits in here where they've got something more interesting going on, but mostly they're doing that, or they're doing doing that with singing, and the singing makes it better, I guess. But I think if you're going to approach that, it has to be seriously good to be able to do just chords without anything solo. Otherwise, it is just quite dull. Then with this band, you slow it down and it feels like everything's just been kind of, the thought about the speed that you might do it normally at, and they've slowed it down until it feels awkward and just a bit clunky. Let's talk about the singing. The singing's okay, and the words are okay. They're even interesting at times if you can dig into them. But the whole overall feel is this just kind of it feels like somebody's laid I don't know, great big fog over the valley, or as if you kind of, it's just a day where the weather's not great and you're struggling a bit to get through it. I'm thinking of it as the indie rock equivalent of doom metal, because doom metal does this. It goes slow and deliberately. Okay, so it is a sound. It's obviously a deliberate sound that they've got, and some people must like this sound because it found its way onto the list. I'm afraid I find it mildly irritating. There were occasional bits musically. There was one bit when they had slightly different instrumentation. They had what sounded like it might have been a harmonica and maybe a banjo in there. Most of it was just kind of, sorry, I'm obviously giving you the impression that I didn't like this very much, and that would be correct. So my borderline normally in my scores, I have various borders that I think about. I don't think much about stuff below 5, but 5 out of 10 is my borderline where I think if I'd rather not listen to it, it's below 5. And if it's above 5, I don't mind listening to it. Usually above 6, it's kind of, if it's mildly irritating in somewhere, but it's got other things um, that redeem it. It might be in the 5s, 5 point something, and then the 6s is kind of, it's all right. And then the 7s, it's yes, I would really seek this out to get it. And in the eights, 8+ is like, yeah, I feel like I would really like a permanent copy of my own of this. And then, nines, oh, wow, this is a masterpiece. So I've done some thinking about this, as you can tell. So this would have been, musically, just based on the music, is about 4.5 out of 10 for me, I'm afraid. I'm sorry if it's something that you really love, and I'm kind of, raining on your parade. Um, the potentially interesting lyrics pull this up a bit. It's pulled up a bit more, but still not a huge amount, by these interesting, weird short tracks that just are, interludes of interestingness in amongst the rest of the dullness here. So that's what I think of this album. Again, I apologise if it's an album that you love. And if that is the case, please do feel free to rail against me or to tell me why I'm wrong. I love it when people pile in when I didn't like something and they tell me how wrong I am, and especially kind of emphasising, tell me what I've missed and what it is that's great about this album. Or if you agree with me, that's great. Or if you're not sure, that's also great. I just love to hear from people. Basically, I'm just a lonely guy sitting here in my room asking people to talk to him through the comments. Please do that. That'd be great. And that's it from me for now.
The parasites will